I can't believe this is right, but it is right, folks. And I hope we know why Caitlin Clark got that T now, right?
It's only been a few games, but a disturbing trend from last season has already reemerged, and it cannot be ignored.
Another year and another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
WNBA players are already taking liberties with the league's biggest star, Caitlin Clark. And once again, just like last season, the referees have put their whistles in their pockets. Get this, they're not only letting obvious contact slide, they're penalizing Caitlin when she dares to react. That's right, she's getting fouled for pointing out the obvious. Last season, Caitlin was on the receiving end of relentless hits, body checks, elbows, you name it, and the officials acted like they were high fives and fist bumps. Now, the exact same pattern is emerging, and it should have the entire WNBA worried, because there's a bigger trend happening here, one that's not only unfair to Caitlin, but could end up being devastating for the Fever and for the league itself. Let's get right into the fireworks that infuriated fans and analysts and have everyone concerned for Caitlin. But first, like and subscribe for more Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever updates.
New year, Caitlin Clark still getting assaulted though, bruh.
It's crazy that even before the regular season officially tips off, Caitlin Clark is already getting knocked around, and the refs are doing nothing about it. Sound familiar? Because it's exactly what happened last season. Caitlin would drive, get bumped, shoved, elbowed, and hacked, and the whistles? Silent. It was like the refs forgot what a foul was anytime Caitlin hit the floor. And this wasn't a one-off, it became a pattern.
Like even in the playoffs last year, do we not remember when Caitlin Clark is shooting a layup and she's in the air and Marina Mabrey commits a block, a hit on the arm, everything. She just comes late and is like, Caitlin's not getting a layup. Jumps sideways into her, takes her arms out, knocks Caitlin on the ground, and then stops because she knows she's fouled, and the referees are like, play on, play on.
There are honestly too many examples to even show in one video. It got to the point where you can tell that Caitlin was visibly shaken by the abuse she was taking.
That's just basketball at the end of the day. No, that's never gonna change. I'm never gonna lose that. I feel like I'm getting hammered. I don't know. I appreciate Christy getting a tech too. Like, I don't know.
But the foul that really stands out, the moment that symbolized just how bad it had gotten, was the Kennedy Carter hit.
Jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points.
It was an off-ball foul. No play on the ball, no basketball move. Just a blatant body check that sent Caitlin flying. And somehow, it wasn't even ruled a flagrant. Just a common foul.
What?
That moment became the lightning rod for the entire conversation. If that's not a flagrant, then what is? It was a turning point for fans. They were already fed up with the lack of protection, but this was next level. And if you thought you were frustrated watching from home, imagine being Caitlin. Listen, players will play Caitlin hard because she's Caitlin Clark. She's the best player on the court. There's no problem with that. But when they keep taking liberties with no recourse, things need to change. That's why the Fever went out and got Sophie Cunningham, as well as veteran leaders like DeWanna Bonner, players who aren't afraid to step in and fight back when things get physical. And we've already seen flashes of that toughness.
People here in a real home court advantage.
But we also thought the league would improve, that the officiating would catch up, that after everything Caitlin brought, the ratings, the ticket sales, the jersey records, the WNBA would recognize she's essential to their future and make protecting her a priority, or at least to improve the officiating consistency. Because players taking cheap shots, that's one thing, but refs turning a blind eye while the face of the league gets decked. That's how you lose casual fans fast and potentially your cash cow. More on that in a second. But let's get into the game that got everyone fired up.
Jersey is Chatoya Walker-Kimbrough was talking to the official about the ref. Caitlin Clark on the deck.
Caitlin Clark was, once again, fouled hard with no calls. The refs completely swallowed their whistles anytime she touched the ball, like physicality was just part of the Caitlin tax. She gets bumped, hit, thrown off balance, and nothing. No protection, no deterrent, no message sent that this kind of play won't be tolerated. It's almost like the refs are daring her to complain, because when she does, she's the one who ends up with the tech. It's the same story from last season, just earlier and louder.
Like Paupa's literally holding her, two hands holding her jersey. It's not even hand checking. Holding her jersey with two hands. And the ref's not calling anything.
And I'm not exaggerating, she literally had 0 free throws.
It is kind of interesting that Caitlin Clark hasn't been to the free throw line at all.
Let that sink in. Caitlin Clark, the biggest target on the floor, got hacked all game and didn't shoot a single one. Not one trip to the line, not even on obvious contact. Either the refs are blind or they're setting a tone early that it's open season on Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark in the preseason, 29 points with 0 free throw attempts. What is happening?
Fans were furious, and they made sure the league heard about it. Outrage poured in from every corner of the internet. On X, users lit up the refs with brutal honesty. One fan blasted, "At WNBA, you gonna make your refs accountable for all the onside calls this year, or just let them be dumb as usual?" Another summed it up perfectly. The WNBA refs here just used the no autopsy, no foul philosophy after a player hit the deck. The sentiment was crystal clear. The officials aren't just failing Caitlin Clark, they're failing the entire product. And fans didn't stop at just complaining. They did the math. They pointed out the obvious. Something doesn't add up. While Caitlin Clark was getting hacked with no calls, other stars around the league were already making multiple trips to the free throw line.
Somebody had pointed out how many frickin' free throw attempts she's had. I think it's 30 in the preseason. Caitlin Clark hadn't gotten one damn foul called in her favor that would have put her to the line. Are you kidding me right now? I don't understand what is going on.
It didn't feel like a coincidence. It felt targeted, and fans are starting to say it out loud. And just like clockwork, Caitlin's frustration started to show.
On a 10-3, make it 12-3 run, as they are now just down 1 point.
She picked up a technical foul for showing her frustration with a missed call. And it got to the point where Sophie Cunningham had to step in. I mean, it's preseason, and the refs are already in midseason 2024 form. But what Caitlin did in response, pure cinema.
Step back triple.
Her step back 3 was a massive statement. You knock me down, I'll knock down a 3 in response. Caitlin knows how to answer back. She doesn't need revenge, she needs the ball and an inch of space. And it wasn't just Caitlin getting fouled. The whole team was taking hits. You could see it in the body language. Players getting bumped, grabbed, hacked, and the whistles stayed silent. It was physical, borderline reckless at times. This wasn't just preseason intensity. It felt personal.
Now, on that same play where Ryan Howard does create contact with Caitlin Clark, DeWanna Bonner also gets fouled. It is not called. That definitely should have been called. And I mean, I don't know. And the Indiana Fever don't have the best whistle. They didn't have a good whistle last season. I thought the whistle would definitely get better because everyone is putting the refs on notice. And I think that they know that they're going to be heavily scrutinized in any Indiana Fever game. I do think that they have to pay extra attention and definitely make sure when there's a foul that it is called, because it doesn't seem like that's going that direction just yet.
It really doesn't look like the Fever are getting any calls. It's like the refs brought whistles, but decided to keep them tucked in their pockets, just for fun. Players are getting hacked, shoved, and straight up bulldozed, and nothing. No fouls, no free throws, just shrugs. At some point, it stops being letting them play and starts looking like negligence.
There are freedom of movement rules. And then Ryan Howard plows through Caitlin. Caitlin goes up straight, like, no call. Or sorry, foul on Caitlin. And then I saw other times where players were literally just hacking and getting away with it. Genuinely hacking.
And that brings us to a broader problem. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's not just the Fever. It's about the officiating across the board.
WNBA, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, has a severe refereeing problem. And obviously, look, when anything happens with Caitlin Clark, more light is brought to it. But it was really bad. Like, it was really, really bad watching the game yesterday. And it happens always.
The quality of WNBA refereeing is under serious scrutiny right now. Too many missed calls, too many inconsistent whistles, and not nearly enough accountability. When it happens to the league's biggest draw, people notice. But the truth is, it's affecting the entire game. Even Caitlin's father, Brent Clark, added fuel to the fire during an ESPN interview at the Brazil game. When asked about his take on the WNBA, he didn't mince words.
Well, I think there's a lot of room for improvement there, I think particularly in the officiating.
Fans and analysts have complained extensively about inconsistent refereeing, and this season, they've already seen enough. One X post screams, "And here I was hopeful they'd clean it up even a bit this year." Nope. The Athletic's Scott Doctorman didn't hold back either, tweeting, "WNBA officiating. Ick. Brazil's number 21 ran into and blindsided Lexi Hull, knocking her to the floor at the top of the key. It's easily a 15-yard blindside block at any level of football, but no call here." And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Caitlin Clark herself is getting absolutely hammered. Jersey grabs, elbows off the ball, and the whistles? Silent. It's not just sloppy officiating, it's becoming a credibility problem. The big problem with inconsistent refereeing is that it creates a dangerous environment, especially for star players. When officials miss obvious fouls or flat out ignore them, it sends a message: take your shot. And there's no one in the WNBA that players seem more eager to rough up than Caitlin Clark. That's part of why Caitlin bulked up in the offseason, to absorb the hits, stay confident attacking the lane, and protect herself. It's also why the Fever brought in Sophie Cunningham, not just to shoot threes, but to push back, to send a message. You're not going to bully our star without consequences. And here's where things get really serious, and why the WNBA should be scared. While there's nothing wrong with physical basketball, there is a difference between hard defense and non-basketball plays, the kind that lead to injuries. And if Caitlin Clark were to go down because of one of those cheap shots, the impact wouldn't just hit the Fever. It would be devastating for the entire WNBA.
I just hope she doesn't get injured by all these fouls. She's already injured. Well, we've talked about that, right? In the past, we've talked about that. How devastating any injury that gets her actually taken out of a regular season game. How much money in loss is that for the league?
Now look, I don't need to rattle off every stat. You already know. Caitlin Clark brings in the most viewers by a mile. She's the engine behind the rating spike, the merch sales, the sold-out arenas. Fans are showing up for her, becoming Fever fans, and eventually WNBA fans. But that kind of long-term loyalty takes time to build. Right now, the WNBA cannot afford to lose Caitlin, not even for a week. With 41 Fever games selected for national broadcast, her absence would hit like a wrecking ball. Ratings would tank, buzz would stall, momentum would vanish. And here's the scary part. There are already injury concerns.
Well, here's how you throw your fan base and WNBA fans at large into a collective panic. Caitlin Clark on the injury report, which is exactly what happened as the Indiana Fever put out the report, the status update for the first preseason game against the Washington Mystics, and Caitlin Clark, the only player on it, listed as questionable with a left leg injury.
She's already been sidelined once, against the Mystics, and it's clear she's dealing with something. Even though she's played since and by all accounts is fine, every time she hits the floor hard, you can feel the panic ripple through the crowd and across social media. That's because fans know what's at stake. If Caitlin's out, the spotlight doesn't just dim, it goes out completely.
Let's not mince words. Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the interest in the Fever and the interest in the WNBA at large. Not trying to start any fights with that comment. That's just the truth of the matter.
The WNBA is still fragile, and unless the refs clean things up, start calling things consistently, and in doing so protect the league's biggest draw, we're one hard foul away from disaster. If you're still here, drop a basketball emoji in the comments to say hi. Thanks for watching.